What's up, guys? This is Chris from More Soul Fitness. I've been getting a lot of questions about how I deal with delayed onset muscle soreness and how I recover from my workouts. As a lot of you know, I'm training for a Spartan race right now while keeping up my resistance training regimen. So I'm doing a lot of running, I'm doing a lot of calisthenics, a lot of obstacle course practice, all while keeping up my regimen of strength where I am consistently trying to be strong on my squat, bench press, deadlift, and overhead press. And I gotta tell you, this has been a lot of work, and I have been stiff and I have been sore throughout. So this should be very interesting for all of you in understanding how I'm able to go from workout to workout and still perform and train optimally. First things first, and this is going to be something that's not going to be very popular amongst a lot of you, but I take a lot of cold showers. The cold is extremely helpful in reducing acute inflammation. That's the inflammation that you get from trauma, and it's the inflammation that you get that causes muscle soreness. And so you need a little bit of that to recover, but if it's hanging around for a few days, cold showers can really help with reducing it. In addition to that, cold showers have the added benefit of training you to control your mammalian response to cold, meaning you get in the shower, it's ice cold, you start breathing super heavily. And if you're able to control that, you're going to be able to control your response to things that are surprising. You're going to be able to control your cortisol levels from stress, because things that induce that type of response where you're surprised or shocked or anything like that you're really going to be able to reduce your own response to those and be able to handle them a little bit better. Two, diet. As a lot of you know, I am fat adapted, and that means that I don't use carbohydrates for fuel. In fact, I eat less than 50 grams of carbohydrates per day, and I use fat, my own body fat, as a fuel source. And there's a whole process to becoming fat adapted. I'm not going to get into the science with you here because I'm not a scientist, but if you want to read a great scientific source on how to become fat adapted, I will link Jeff Volek and Finney's book, The Art and Science of Low Carbohydrate Performance, below, so that you can check those out and decide for yourself if you want to become fat adapted. But I will just say for myself, that is something that has allowed me to do a lot more work, increase my work capacity, and allow me to have a lot more energy throughout my day so that I'm able to do more and get multiple workouts in per day if it's a strength workout and then an endurance workout, and be able to run long distances and not worry about my glycogen being depleted for my weight training session the next day, because I'm not dependent on glycogen as a fuel source. I'm dependent on fat, which is a much bigger tank, a full body tank of fat. The other thing I do is I get massages regularly, and I'm going to be doing a YouTube video with my massage therapist, Andy. He's over at CrossFit CDR, and he's not part of CrossFit, but he has his office in CrossFit CDR here in Redlands, and he is absolutely amazing. He has so much training in understanding how to increase performance by releasing muscles, and I've actually just gone to see him a couple days ago because I was having issues with my neck due to overactivation of my traps, and he was able to release this trap back here, create some separation in the muscles, and allow me to have much better range of motion, allow me to run and lift without pain. The other thing is self-massage and constantly taking care of myself, constantly taking care of my tissues. A couple of tools I have here. I keep a foam roller in my house. This is actually a little bit too soft for me, and I'm going to go get a PVC pipe. So for those of you who don't want to spend the money on a foam roller, just get yourself like a 6-inch diameter PVC pipe, roll around on that. The things to work are, you can hit your IT bands over here, especially after a leg workout. That is this kind of thick piece of fascia up and down here, and if you get knots in here, it's really, really difficult to maintain your flexibility and mobility. So one thing I do here is I'm a big advocate of actively putting pressure on this. This means putting movement, creating movement while you're putting pressure on trigger points. And so one thing I will do is get on here and flex my leg back and forth. And this feels pretty gnarly right now. Even though this is a soft foam roller, I got a good knot in here. I'm gonna hold it there for about 30 seconds while bending and flexing my quadriceps in order to get that IT band to work a little bit. The other thing you want to pay attention to is your hips. So getting up in here in your hips, particularly you heavy squatters, rolling in and out on that psoas muscle and your hip muscles, and really finding trigger points in there and being able to put pressure on those. One thing that is a little bit difficult to get to is your psoas muscle, and that runs from here all the way around. It's a little bit deeper than the others, and one thing I need to do a lot of times is lay on my back. I'll bring my legs over to the side, and then the way you find it is you actually take your hand, put it over here, and push up. And once you find it, get your finger on it, and then get in there and dig, and dig, and dig, and dig. And this is a big one because a lot of us spend so much time sitting, that muscle becomes overactive and super stiff, and that can really affect your ability to squat, to deadlift, to run, to move around, to walk, and can also cause a lot of back pain. When I need to pinpoint something, I have this. It's a therapy cane. I think it's called the TheraCane or something like that. I'm not an affiliate or anything like that, but I think you can Google it and find it online. Particularly for my trap, this helped. Putting this in here and then moving my arm up and down. And then other areas I often need to pinpoint, I get a lot of tennis elbow from doing things like front squats and presses. And so getting in here and just rolling this around. Also on my forearms. And I have other videos on stretching that I'll put up, and you know, warm-ups that you can do and post-workout stretches. But the point is that just simple stretching is not going to be enough. You need to be constantly moving. You need to figure out where your knots are. You need to put pressure on those. You need to try to either get massage or do massage on yourself. And in addition to that, besides all of this, one of the things I do is I'm constantly moving. I try not to sit for any longer than a half hour. If I have sat for longer than a half hour, I have a kettlebell in here. I get up and I do 30 kettlebell swings, or I'll go out for a walk with my dog Piper, or I'll stand up and do a bunch of jumping jacks or run in place, or I just won't sit down for the day and I'll just go and work on my at my kitchen counter. So those are some tricks I use for recovery. If you guys got any questions for me about this stuff, hit me up at gettingshredded@gmail.com. I also want you to know that I'm not the authority on anything. I'm not the be-all, end-all of anything. So do your own research. Figure out what works for you and establish your own recovery routine. These are just some tips that I have, and that's that. Peace out.